Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I'm Peter, that is Matt, and we talk about movies on this show, new movies specifically, and this week we went and saw Murder on the Orient Express, so, well, in the new version of it, I mean, it's not new,
Yeah.
new,
It's
an
not
old
a new story by any chance. I mean, it was first published in 1934, and there's been like 4 or 5 versions of it, and this is just the newest. So, yeah, it's weird to say. It's the new Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, so we'll start spoiler free as we typically do. This is Kenneth Branagh. If Matt wants to say it his way, there you go.
Yes,
Branagh. He is the director. He's also in it. He's playing Perot, the detective, the lead character that sort of permeated through a lot of the novels and stuff. So. Basically, he ends up on this train. He's been summoned to go and help solve a crime elsewhere. He ends up having to take this train at the last minute, and he interacts with a variety of characters who are all on this train. It's not a big train; it's a small train, so you've got kind of a limited.
Yeah, that took me by surprise because when I'd heard about this, you hear about the Orient Express, like it was this old train, and I figured it'd be like the Hogwarts train that's just it never ends, like this big luxury thing, and it's not. Like, I think I counted at one point there's like 6 cars on it, so it really created like a what's the word, like not a condensed, but it wasn't just one location, but it felt like one location, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it was. I think it's actually essential for because I'd never seen a version of this story before. I think it's actually essential for the plot because part of the thinking is that, well, it had to be someone on the train, and if you had a big long train with lots and lots of passengers, it would it would kind of murky the investigation a little bit because you'd have so many suspects. So he interacts with a bunch of different people. And a murder takes place. Johnny Depp's character, which is not a spoiler, he's clearly the one who's going to be killed. The second you see him, and he's a kind of a nasty guy. He's a bit of a criminal, but he dies. And then comes the investigation where Perot, who's kind of this OCD kind of person, where the reason why he's so good at what he does is because he spots when something's not quite right. And it sort of shows you that right at the start of the movie because it shows you him stepping in a big pile of dog shit, or I say dog shit. It's probably horse or maybe a camel, maybe given where he is.
If that was the amount of dog, that is a massive dog.
That's true. That's
true. We're talking Cerebus.
So yeah, so horse camel. But regardless, he steps in the shit with his like left foot, and then he's like, "Oh, this is disgusting." But what really bothers me is the imbalance. So he then steps in with his other foot, so that both feet have the same kind of feel to them. And so it shows you just how much he has to like even things out, and he has to figure things out.
They summed it up perfectly when he describes himself as he lives in a perfect reality, and nobody else does. So that's when he notices that something's off. And I thought that was a nice insight into his character. He assumes his life is the perfect one.
But he describes it as torturous because if there's something out of place, it bugs the shit out of him. So it sets up who he is. And while he's a famous character, I mean, I've never really encountered any of the stories before. This is the first movie with Perot I've seen it. So, so he investigates the crime, he starts talking to all the suspects and looking at all the clues. I should say that I actually did know the twist, because it's a pretty famous twist, and it's
been parodied many times.
Honestly, though, there's only one place that I know it from. And I can't be too mad at it, because I love the show, but it's actually Frasier. Spoiled the ending of Murder on the Orient Express for me a long, long time ago. And for whatever reason, it's just stuck in my head. I remembered what it was.
If there was going to be any show that spoiled Murder on the Orient Express, it's
Frasier. Because it's an episode where he's trying to. I think he's trying to. I don't know if it's a movie or a book, but he's been trying to get to like either watch or read this thing all week, and he's trying to avoid spoilers. And eventually, he gets so pissed off at someone for spoiling it, he just like he shouts out like spoilers for the end of 5 different things. He's like the end of Planet of the Apes, the end of Citizen Kane, the end of this, the end of, and then he says, "And the Murder on the Orient Express," and then he just sort of says the ending. And I was like,
man.
"God damn you!" I'd seen everything else. Everything else wasn't a spoiler for me, but that one was. So I bring that up because I think it did affect how I was, just thinking about the movie as it was going. Because I think in a first time watch you might actually be because immediately I'm kind of looking for signs of a certain thing, and I think we'll leave the talk about the plot in the case because I feel like that's all spoiler. and we'll just talk about the other things such as direction, acting, that kind of thing.
So I don't want to toot my own horn, but like, not that I completely figured it out, but the way that they laid out, clues, I felt that it made it easy to put together, like to follow along with Poirot. So, having not known the ending and then realizing I've seen this ending parodied on other shows and in other, in books and stuff, it made it quite nice. But yeah, it was a fun journey, like just to follow along with the clues. I think Branagh did a really good job there at, taking that story and
I guess
kind of contemporizing it, but not really,
Yeah, I guess I'll ask the overall question though. Did you like Murder in the Orient Express?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice, like, I don't want to call it a filler movie, but it was. I went with my dad. He was in town, and my wife. So it was one of those nice, just go as kind of a family and take in a movie.
I can't. Yeah, I actually really agree with that word filler in a bizarre way, which sounds really negative.
Yeah.
But if I was to describe how I feel about this movie, is I wouldn't actually recommend you go see it at the theatre. I would say this is a Sunday afternoon Netflix movie, which is completely inoffensive. You'll have some chuckles, you'll enjoy some of the plot beats, but it's not earth-changing. It's not something you have to rush out and see. It's not reinventing the wheel by any means. I mean, obviously that's kind of obvious given it's based on an old story, but this is not appointment movie viewing. This was a light, breezy thing to watch in an afternoon. That's kind of
had this come out during the summer, I probably wouldn't have made the effort. But the fact that it's November, my dad's in town, it was it gets dark earlier. Made for a nice, hey, let's just go to the movies and take it in. Had this not been out, we probably would have went and saw whatever else was there. Probably Thor again, or trying to think what else has been out. It's been a weird fall thus far. So. But yeah,
we got Justice League next week, Matt. So.
You sound like it's a good thing, but I don't.
All in, Matt. All in.
My guard's still up. I'm gonna watch it in I'm gonna watch it in defensive stance.
So I think it's entertaining enough, but it's definitely going to leave any sort of impression on you, I don't think. But the direction's fine. It plays a lot with sort of following them going through the train. Like, the camera will go outside. Obviously, they had a really good set of this. They had the train on a soundstage somewhere, and they were playing with how they shot it. You've got a very expansive cast. You got Daisy Ridley in there as one of the characters. It's weird. This is the first time I've seen her in something that isn't Star Wars. So. Interesting.
And I think she came up doing this kind of stuff on the BBC, I think, because she feels like a classic actress here. This felt like a movie from the 50s maybe, and then you get to the editing and camera moves. But like, I feel it's very traditional acting on everybody's parts. And so I thought she felt, I didn't find it distracting. I was like, hey, that's Ray. I felt like she was this governess character,
Yeah, you got Willem Dafoe. Obviously, we mentioned Johnny Depp, who I don't actually like Johnny Depp that much, so I was kind of okay with him being killed off early. That was fine for me. But
he wasn't Johnny Depp. He was kind of restrained. Like, he was playing this kind of over-the-top character. Like, he's this, I'm trying to think, because he's kind of a gangster, but not really.
He always plays an over-the-top character.
Yeah, but this wasn't the Jack Sparrow... Mad Hatter, super over the top, So, what was, this could have been any other actors over the top. But then I feel the same about Willem Dafoe's character, too, because he has this weird accent, and you're kind of like...
He's Austrian,
okay, yeah. And you're like, that's a weird, to put Dafoe in that role, because it's not a very good Austrian accent, but you're just like, okay, he's over the top, I'm going to go with it. But, I felt like Depp's was restrained for him, I guess.
For him, it's restrained. Yeah, I think the movie's too laid back for it to be any less restrained than that, though. I feel like if he started doing really wacky things, it'd feel out of place.
Yeah.
Because definitely. In a way, Poirot is the wackiest thing in the movie. Yeah. He's got the big stupid mustache. He's the one making all these funny little jokes about things being improper and stuff. Like, he's the one who becomes likable, I think, more than anything else. And he does have a character arc throughout the movie, which is... Yeah, I'll save that for spoilers, actually, because I feel like it...
I will say that I got a hearty chuckle when he wakes up in his sleeper car, and he has like a mustache guard on his face,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks kind of like Hannibal Lecter's mask.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot. There's actually, I mean, obviously there's Olivia Colman's in it, Judi Dench is in it. Because you mentioned Ray being a classic kind of
Yeah,
period piece actress. I feel like those two also kind of fit into that mold.
definitely.
Michelle Pfeiffer's there, so it's a very sort of. I would say it's not a huge name cast, but it's a lot of really recognizable names kind
Yeah.
of throughout the cast. Josh Gad's there, whole thing.
Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got all these people. I think the mystery itself. There's a certain point where I think it becomes really obvious where it's going. Maybe a little too early. Like I think the idea of Murder on the Orient Express I like more than the actual story itself. The idea of them all being on a train and the detectives trying to figure out who the murderer is. I think that idea really appeals to me. But I think because of what the twist is, there's like this way it has to go about it that kind of nullifies it a little bit for me. So I think we'll go into spoilers because I feel like we're dancing around things now. But I'd say it's worth watching when it's on like Netflix or something like that. I would not rush out to see it. I wouldn't give it appointment viewing.
But say you have Movie Pass and you're looking to go on a date with a significant other, or family night with a brother, sister, cousin, whatever. I think you could do a lot worse than Murder on the Orient Express. Like if you feel like, hey, I'm gonna go eat some popcorn, go to the movies.
Yeah, but I mean it is pretty forgettable. I would say that.
I'll disagree there, but
it's pretty forgettable, but it's whatever. So anyway, so full spoilers from this point on. So everyone did it. That's the twist. Murder on the Orient Express is that everyone.
It's a conspiracy, like, and that's what I liked about that because I wasn't expecting, like, the way that I've seen that everyone did it. It was like, oh, nobody could stand this guy, and they all acted on their own. But no, this was a definite plan from the people on the Orient Express, and I felt like there's a shot of Leslie Odom Jr., who played the Doctor, and Daisy Ridley on the boat that I felt gave a little too much away early on.
Yeah,
because it really focuses on them, and you're kind of like, oh, well, what are they up to?
Yeah, it feels like they know each other, but they're not meant to yet.
Yep.
You see that early on. For me, I think the main issue I have with at least, I mean, I don't know how it's handled in the other adaptations. Like maybe the Sidney Lumet version from '74 might be more my thing. I don't know, but like as soon as a second person on that train revealed they had a backstory that connected them to this murder that happened, there's this child murder that happened back in the US a number of years ago, and as soon as the second person had a connection to that case, I went, well, they've all got a connection to that then, and that's it. That's it, done, right?
Yeah, how are they all playing into it? Which I liked. I liked how the story came together, and I guess it shows, like, this 80-year-old story still, at least for me, holds up and was interesting as, because you get to the end and Poirot's, telling them all how he came up with this and pieced it together, So, and I felt that Branagh did a good job there with his character and the direction on each of these characters, especially Michelle Pfeiffer, because again, you feel like she's over the top, but then you find out why she's over the top and who she really is the grandmother to this child that was killed, and it's her anger towards Johnny Depp, whose character is the one that did it, which also it's based off of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping, which I don't know if you realize that.
No.
Yeah, there was a duo named Sacco and Ranzetti, and this guy was what's his name? Cassetti is Ratchet and Cassetti are his names in this. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they adapted that. I think that's in the original book too.
I think it gets to the point where it's so obvious to me that I almost like, because I knew going in everyone did it, and I thought, okay, that's interesting, and I feel like it made sense that's what would make this a hard case for Poirot, because he's so good at, like, okay, who's the one who benefits or who's the one who does this, because you get a little scene at the start where he catches this cop who was stealing stuff and makes a big show of it, and it shows you how he works and how it does things and how he's very good at his job. And it's like, okay, so a case where everyone on the train is actually working together to kill this person, that's why he would be thrown, and that's why it would take longer to crack. But once they actually started exploring this backstory, and it came up that there was this murder, I went, oh, okay, everyone's connected to that, and I kind of it became kind of less interesting to me as to why, like, how they were all connected. It was like, okay, right, fine, I get it. Like, so it was almost like it was going through the motions for me as he was actually explaining, like, who was, because some of them were a little bit tenuous. Like, some of them, like, William Dafoe was in love with the maid who, like, whatever, like, it got really convoluted at points with how some of them are connected. Some of them, so obviously, Michelle Pfeiffer, grandmother, fine. Heavily connected. Josh Gad's the son of the cop who tried to,
son of the prosecutor.
The prosecutor,
who was disgraced because they couldn't catch the actual murderer and killed himself. Right?
Yeah.
Killed himself, so what I like, there was this web that's been going on that Poirot himself gets tangled in, because throughout most of it you see him running through these options, and he's kind of doubting himself because he's supposed to be on vacation. This was him going back to Belgium, where he's from, or to London to do something else, and so he's kind of, at first his heart's not into it, you can kind of tell, but as it keeps going, this web pulls him back in, and he gets stuck in it himself, and I like that aspect. But like you said, like with Dafoe, and there was just so many characters that were tenuous at best to tenuous. Am I using that wrong? I think I am, but what's the word I'm looking for? It's a stretch that they would be so involved on getting to Istanbul to take this train, for a case of revenge.
I don't know. I think ultimately it's one of these big ideas that I get why it's exciting for, like, the writer to sit down and go, hey, everyone's connected.
Yeah.
But honestly, you said you liked that it's a conspiracy. I feel like conspiracies are the thing that I like the least when it comes to why things are happening.
Yeah, I like that. I like that there's a grander scheme than just,
It's just a taste thing, but, like, typically I'm not a fan when the twist ends up being in a movie that everyone's in a cult or something like that. Like,
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's never appealed to me.
And I'll be honest, it usually disappoints me, because I usually am just like, oh man, well, that was kind of wasted. But there's something that speaks to me in there that I can see how it goes. But here, the fact that they were all acting on revenge for the death of this little girl, I like that. I like that. And that's Poirot's dilemma at the end. Does he go for justice? And it goes for that justice versus vengeance. And as he figures it out, there was the easy answer, which is some assassin slept onto the train, killed him, left, or there was this big grand conspiracy that's harder to believe, but he has the evidence to prove. I like his dilemma there.
Well, that's the thing. I think that the part of the movie that works is his arc, where at the start of the movie he says everything's black and white, there is right and there is wrong, and there is no in between. And by the end of the movie, he kind of sees this and goes, maybe there is something in between, because this killer had no justice. These people worked together to make sure he achieved justice. Is it worth putting all these people through the system because they achieved it? And he makes the choice not to. That was interesting to me. Him questioning his absolutes was the fascinating part to me. The actual case itself, once it got going, I was kind of losing interest as the movie went on. I don't know, just the whole conspiracy thing, it wasn't like, and that's why I wonder how I would have felt if I hadn't known the twist going in. Would I have jumped to it as immediately? Would it have made me, like, be more fascinated by it? But it was kind of like, as soon as they connected it to this case, as soon as two people in the train, it was like, okay, well, I guess they're all connected to it then. And it's all about revenge, and it's that simple. It's just revenge.
Yeah, like, when I heard that Days...
It felt like it's such a foregone conclusion to me at that point, that that's where it was going. And the mystery... Because even before that, when I knew, okay, it's everyone, I was like, okay, why is it everyone? But as soon as I got to that second person that was connected to that case, it was like, well, I've figured it out for everyone now. So at that point, I felt like I was just kind of waiting. And that's why the Poirot arc was the interesting part to me. And it's a shame it doesn't really come up until towards the end when he finds out, because that's when he can start to question it. Because before that, he doesn't know that. But once he actually finds out it's everyone, that's when it becomes interesting to me, because he's like, oh, do I turn them in? Do I go with the other story? Do I, what can I live with? Do I live with an imperfection? Do I live with an imbalance because it's the right thing to do? And that to me, that was the fascinating part. But until it gets there, there's a lot of figuring things out, and I'd kind of already like got to the point. And sure, I didn't know the details. I didn't know why certain characters were connected to it. Like, were they the brother's cousin of the person who kind of fed the child once, and whatever else. But I don't know. I thought.
I guess I just like piecing it together as the movie went along. Like I had, realized that Daisy Ridley was a governess, right? And I didn't know what a governess was until about a couple of years ago. That it's just basically a nanny. It's a live-in nanny that basically raises the kids for a well-to-do family. And so when I had realized that, and then you realize that the doctor was a sniper at one point for, the army, and that ties him to here and there. I liked piecing all that together, and having not known what kind of gave it away to me was that he was stabbed 12 times, and Poirot has noticed that it wasn't a clean 12 times. It was like a random 12 times. And there's 12 people.
Or more specifically, it was like every single stab. It was like he said it was like, well, this one's really deep and strong, but this one's much weaker. It's like, well, clear, and it's like, okay, so 12 different people stabbed them then, and they've all got different strength, so that's why.
And so that's what kind of gave it to me, and I don't know if that's because my wife watches too much Forensic Files, and I'm listening in the background while I'm reading comics, and I'm taking that in, going, okay, well, that doesn't add up, but, so while I liked figuring it out, I felt sometimes it was a little too on the nose, if that makes sense. Like he tipped his hand a little bit too much early on.
This is the thing. Like I don't want to sound too negative on it because I think it's a perfectly fine breezy watch, and that's why I'm recommending people don't actually go spend money on it because
it's a very watchable movie still. Like when I say that they tip their hand, it doesn't ruin that anyway because I think his performance as Poirot is really top notch.
It's just for me, it's just kind of going through the motions. It's not really got any sort of spark of life to it beyond just let's have fun and do this one more time. I feel like they're enjoying having performing. I feel like they're having fun doing the story and doing this again. But I don't know. Like, does it justify its existence? I'm not sure it does. Like, I feel like, even though I've never seen a version of this story before, it still kind of felt like this oddly old hat, I guess.
Yeah. That said, I would like to see one of these again because I would love to see his Poirot again. I really like that character. So they tease at the end, Death on the Nile. Or Death on the Nile, that he's going back to Egypt, or he's going to Egypt onto this boat. And it's kind of the same, predicament, but I'm sure it's not exactly the same. But I would like to see that again and see how differently, because I don't think that's been adapted too many times. So I'd like to see the difference there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, it's fine. It's whatever. Like, I was a little bit, I got to a point where I was kind of waiting for it to wrap up. I'm like, okay, right, I figured it out. So that's, so some of the, like, say, later second act, early act 3 was kind of like dragging for me a little bit. But it's like so inoffensive, it's so breezy and just, it feels like you've went to the to see a play in the afternoon and. Like, they're just doing this old story that people have done like a million times before, and you just kind of like, they're just going through it, and they're clearly having fun with it, but it never really, it never gets that exciting or that interesting or even that creative. Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just my taste, but I'm like, I wish this was darker. I wish this was like there's a murderer on the train. We need to like be careful and stuff like that. That'd be interesting to me, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of just like, I'm lukewarm. It's like, that's fine. It's, whatever. That's kind of where I fall.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you, just because I took in the lighterness, and I was in for the story. Like, I feel like you kind of were just going through the motions of it, and just kind of wanted to get towards the end. And I fully understand that because I feel like that with other movies. So, but so I think if you're down from the beginning, it's a more enjoyable watch than if you're like, okay, I know how this goes, because I know my dad's seen 3 different versions of this, and he had said this was the best one. And even though he knew where it was going, he liked the different changes that Branagh had made, like not consolidating characters, like because I guess in one of the versions they put in like I think it's the Sidney Lumet version. They combined like the sniper character with what's his name, the Austrian.
All right, okay.
Willem Dafoe, so they combined those characters, and he liked the fact that there was two different ones, so and it took advantage of the cast. But
I don't know.
So
just thinking about it, though, I feel like combining a few characters might help.
Yeah, and maybe that's why they did it early on, and I don't know, but it's okay. I mean, this book is again almost it's 80 years old.
I feel like the decision not to combine characters this time is less because it actually benefited the story, and more because it was like, oh, think of just the list of names we can have in the poster. Like here, you got all these actors that everyone recognizes, just all in the poster.
Maybe, yeah, I can see that.
I think maybe my only real kind of proper like disappointment with it would be that from the trailer, that first trailer, which was basically just a shot of him walking up the train, looking at all the suspects, and it was like sort of saying who they all were. Like, I kind of went into it thinking, oh, there's going to be a lot of figuring things out, and I don't feel like there was to the same extent. It was mostly just talking to them and revealing the backstories between each of them, rather than actually figuring out from clues, which, I don't know, I guess it just wasn't as interesting as I was expecting it to be, but hey-ho. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I like the setting. I like the whole, because the train gets stuck out in the sort of like the snowy mountains.
Mm-hmm. There's an avalanche and it kind of derails it, and that's what also allows him to figure things out because they have more time. This is supposed to be a brisk, couple-day journey back, and the fact that they get stranded for an extra 2 days.
Yeah, they're stuck there in the one spot for a couple of days, and I like that. I really like the setting. I really like the build-up. It's just the case itself never really got cooking for me. It was kind of...
Yeah. How'd you like the trestle bridge scene where he's chasing Josh Gad through there? I thought that was a nice change of pace, because it was kind of the closest thing to an action sequence. It really wasn't. But it looked like it was an actual practical set that they built. And that was a visual treat.
It's funny you bring that up, actually, because I'd kind of forgotten it happened for a start.
Oh, man.
Secondly, actually, I think when that scene was on, I was kind of thinking, this is weird and out of place. It felt like it was out of a different... It felt like all of a sudden I was watching a scene from Under Siege 2 than I was Murder in the Orient Express.
Territory.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. Especially since, like, maybe if I won't go back and watch it again, this will make more sense. But like, why is he running to that extent when they've all done it? Like,
right.
So I don't know, but I feel like this has been a short conversation we typically have, because I feel like there's genuinely less to talk about. Well,
there is, yeah, and the movie moves. It never. I never felt that it dragged, and I just turned on and enjoyed it. Like you said, it's filler, but not in the like. I didn't feel it was disposable filler. It was just like a nice time. I'm glad I watched it. I had a good time at the theater, but there's nothing much more to talk about.
I don't think you're
murder mystery.
I don't think you're missing anything if you don't see this, though.
Yeah, no, you don't have to see it. It's not like.
If you're interested in it, if you like the story, then sure, check it out. But I think for most people, I'd say, yeah, if it's on TV or it's on Netflix or whatever, yeah, sure, afternoon watch is fine. But that's kind of the extent of my recommendation for it, which I guess would lead us to rating the movie out of 10. So, what would you give it, Matt?
Mine, I'm giving it a 7.5. I had a really good time with it, and of course, it's Branagh. I just got excited. I got to say his name a bunch of times. And I also really enjoyed his Cinderella. If you guys remember that, if you've been with us that long. If not, you can... I don't think we reviewed it. I think I just reviewed it. It was on an older episode, but...
I don't think we did, no.
I don't think you ever saw it.
I've never seen it.
Which is good to know for Overload.
Oh, God. Yeah, for me, this is kind of a straight 6. Straight 6 out of 10. Which means, fine, kind of disposable. It's just what it is. I don't know. It's not setting the world on fire. It's kind of. I know it's a slow weekend at the movies when this was the option kind of thing. If that makes sense.
Well, it was this or Daddy's Home, the Will Ferrell Mark
Oh
Wahlberg
yeah.
movie, which it sounds like it's got
Well, hold
Pete
on.
written all over it.
Hold on a second. Daddy's Home 2, I believe you'll find.
Yeah, Daddy's Home
It's
2.
a sequel.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey, I'll give it this though. John Lithgow's in it, which is points.
Yeah, points, but
right
also
away.
Mel Gibson's in it, so that I think that negates.
Well, here's the thing about Mel Gibson though. He's a piece of shit, but he's actually a really good charismatic actor, which is the really annoying thing.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he's playing a piece of work in this too, from the trailers I've been subjected to. So, yeah. But Lithgow, he's always great and whatever he's in. I still have to finish Trial and Error, which I was really enjoying.
Oh, it's so good.
But yeah, so he's great on that.
So good. But there you go. So that's Murder on the Orient Express. So let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. You get a link in the corner, link in the description for all that stuff. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again. This has been a shorter, breezier review of a movie. I promise you that in about a week or so time, when we do Justice League, it will be much longer. And it'll have passion and emotion. I don't know, depending on it could be really happy passion, it could be hateful passion.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, but
Yeah, if you want a treat, go check down our Batman vs Superman review from last year. Yeah,
that was a
do yourself a favor.
That was a 2-hour long video, and there was a lot of swearing, so you can check out that. But that is us, guys. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching movies, and we will see you next time.